actually set up appointments to meet with them ahead of time. Or if nothing else, they're going to be like, there's the Career Pavilion, which primarily the Career Pavilion, so a lot of these game companies, they have booths at the Career Pavilion, and they have an intern from the HR department who is hired to throw your resume away. That's their job. They go, oh yeah, you're brilliant, yes, that's everything great, and then they throw your resume away.
It's so you have a point of entry, like you know who to harass, and then it stops you from harassing all the other random people at GDC.
Wow, it sounds like more like football. You got to go through the blockers, and then the tackles get you.
Yeah.
So when trying to get into the game developing industry and all that, what do you think is the job that has the highest demand for?
Definitely testers. Yeah. In terms of game development, it's very difficult. Well, for one, it's difficult to be a tester if you're not located in the same geographic area of that company. But that's an excellent way to get into the game industry, because you don't need skills to be a tester. You don't have to be good at the game to be a tester.
And again, if you get in and you are professional and well liked and start becoming known, that's a big help.
Yeah.
Well, I need to add something about the testers, because I used to work next to them.
Right.
The testers told me the one thing you need to be good at is spelling. You got to be willing to crash a game over and over and over and over, and then document it.
Right.
You got to be very efficient at documenting. If you're not efficient at documenting, you're out within a week or so. And you got to get over, and if you got to crash a game 20 times in one day in the same place and explain each position why it's crashing or why your sprite's falling through, you've got to go through and explain this in words to them so they can pass it on to the next people to fix. If you can't do that, you're out. And if you can't articulate correctly, you're out. You can't go, I can write video games. I play them a lot. They're so awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a big misconception that Russ is pointing out, is that being a tester is not playing video games. It's not even sort of related to that. It's you're doing something over and over that's very repetitive, that's not enjoyable. I couldn't be a tester myself, because I often have to be a tester because I got to fill whatever role is not getting filled in my company.
And you know what the thing with testers, they told me? You learn to hate video games.
Yes.
You learn to hate video games, and you never want to see them when you get home.
So if you're going to be a tester, play a bad game. Don't play. If it's like a really good game and you were a tester, you're going to hate that game. So
try to get on Barbie's Magical Dream Horse.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, do you think that video documentation could be an alternative to writing simply for proper editing could deliver the message a lot easier and faster than having to read paragraphs about why this specific spot keeps crashing the game?
Oh. For testing specifically.
Yeah.
I think the experience that we have with video game QA is that Russell used to sit next to them.
Right.
So I don't know.
Right.
And when they vanished, it became Nerf Central.
Right.
I used to work in maintenance administration in the Navy, and just from that kind of perspective, there's a problem. You kind of always want it written, because it'll be faster to read 2 paragraphs than to have whatever multimedia setup it is that you need and able to properly view a glitch that may actually take 5 minutes to activate. You could read something very quickly in about just 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just facilitated the audience answering an audience question.
Maybe we should have this side of the audience ask this side of the questions now to each other.
I think we might be out of time. I just want to be clear. When are we finishing?
Doesn't this panel go to, I think it was 3, doesn't it?
No.
Is there another panel that comes?
There's supposed to be another panel at 2:30.
Sure, but...
2:30.
Oh, 2:30, really?
I thought it was 3:30.
Yeah,
When does this end?
There's no end. We're here all day.
We're waiting for the little bell to ring. You guys are done. You guys are done. Go away.
Another panel at 3.
It's 2:30 and 3:45.
3:45. We're gonna be here for a while. Yeah, question in the back.
So hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm here with my coworkers. We're actually from Spongy Games, and
Awesome.
we are a brand new game development company.
Awesome.
We actually have a card game that we're trying to get out. You know, just shameless plug right now.
Nice. Nice. Well done.
Come and see us. We'd love to tell you about paths. But because this is the first game that we've actually put together, and we're all very new to this, it's coming on Kickstarter in February or shortly around there. And I'd love to know from you, Brian, when you have a new game that's coming out, what strategies do you use to roll that game out? And from you, Chris, when you see a new game that's coming out and you're writing about it, like what gets traction? What really helps get that in front of people? And what do people respond to?
Well, you're talking about how to get press.
Yeah, or
Okay.
just, when you have a new game that's about to go out, what plan do you put in place to start rolling that game out?
Well, I think Chris will have really good answers on that. I'm going to say, from a developer point of view, I've also worked as a journalist briefly, but you want to develop those contacts with the press early. You don't want to wait.
Hi, Chris.
See?
Yeah.
It's working out.
Yes.
And you have to remember too, is that good journalists, I'm sure Chris gets, how many emails do you get a day of people wanting to cover their
I mean, that was essentially what I was going to say, that like I wake up in the morning and my inbox is 50 brand new people with 50 brand new games that I need to take a look at. And since that's impossible, it's tough for me to tell you, like, how do you craft the thing that somehow cuts through all of that and gets into my brain? It's really about having a good story, about being able to really articulate very cleanly, like, well, why is this unique? Why are people going to start playing it? Why do I really need to look at it? What's so important about it? And that's something that that's something that you should not be just like sort of coming up with on the spur of the moment when you're composing that email. That's almost as important to really get everybody, and you're a small developer, get everybody in the company together and really make sure that you're all on the same page about, like, well, what is this game? What are we going to say about this game? What is the one, whenever we're in an elevator with somebody at GDC, what is the one thing that we're going to say about the game that we're working on? And make sure that everybody is on the exact same page with that whole thing. Make sure you're not saying something that your developers aren't, thinking at the same time.
And Chris, would you say that there are times of year which it's better to contact you? Because there's highs and lows throughout the year.
Yeah, everything is a total mess right now, so I don't even think it matters. I mean, definitely, certainly not during the holiday season, right? For like for a game from a developer that is new. But honestly, like, there's huge games coming out all the time now, so it's really hard to say, like, oh, just anywhere between April and June. It's like, no, it's like it's just a constant barrage of information now.
Yeah.
Yes, I was wondering, gentlemen, are y'all by any chance ever met the game creator Jake Huffman?
No, I know of him. I don't think I've ever met
He's the
him.
one who created the Shantae game. Shantae.
He did the music for Shantae, right?
And he created the character. It was him
He
and
did?
his wife.
Okay. Never met him.
Okay then. Well,
I did sell some video games to Matt Bozon, though, at California Extreme this year.
hey, you remember that one game you displayed at the anime convention called Granny Battles? How many months did it take y'all to make that?
Granny Wars, which is it's a fighting game with grandma characters, and we hit a snag with that. It's on the shelf for right now, but I'd like to eventually get back to it.
Hey, before I end my question, I think that if you guys redesign the characters and change into Kruger battles, it will probably make more money.
I remember the discussion we had at Sac Gamers where you told me about Krugers and
Kruger battles, because like,
Kruger. I think you mean Cougar.
Yeah,
But you
Cougar.
called it Kruger then too.
because sir, if you break down the cold hard facts, if people will be more appealed to look at attractive middle-aged women in their 40s and 30s than old outdated grandmas.
I understand how much you would like us to change our game.
It's your game, you
told me
don't
that
have to
before.
change it. I'm just saying
I
it'll
know.
probably get you more money.
Okay. So I'll consult you a lot. Whenever we have a game, I'll go, hey, that guy.
If you want my email address at the end of the panel, I can give it
Okay.
to you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Just to add for that, there was a game called Power Instinct that had grandmas in it, and that one did actually pretty decent. State
everything.
Arcade.
It's like a 15-year-old game.
I think it was on SNES?
Yeah, it was on SNES, Neo Geo,
Yeah, well, just to
PlayStation
add,
2.
yeah, it was pretty obscure though, but it was weird. But I wanted to ask though about,
Yeah.
and just with journalism and things, sometimes what about the smaller WordPress, journalists that are out there? You want to hit those too, don't you?
I think, yeah, it's one of those things to where people like Chris has wide audience, obviously big audience, and he gets a ton of people trying to get his attention. The smaller people, smaller audience, but less competition. So there's always, you got to decide where you want to strategize with. I think another medium is the YouTube gamers, is contacting YouTube gamers, giving them advanced copies of the game so they can do let's plays of that. Someone like PewDiePie gets hit up constantly for that, I would imagine. And so it's the same kind of issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is really something. Of course, I mean, going back to the game developers who are here in the audience, I mean, you want to get like codes for your games out to to YouTubers and things like that, and there are scammers out there who will pretend to be popular YouTubers and write you from a spoofed email address to try to get you to send them keys to your games that sometimes they will they'll say, oh, send me 20 and I'll give them out to my subscribers, and then they'll like sell them to one of those Russian like, I mean, or it's just a low level 13-year-old kid who's trying to like just get a free code to the game. So it's like you got to watch out for that too. But I'm sort of in this situation right now because I have a book about Japanese video games, and it's like I know people at IGN and GameSpot and everything like that, but I'm not going to lean on them too hard to cover it because it's not necessarily the sort of thing that they'd write about anyway or the sort of thing their audience wants. But like, we made sure to there's a blog called Tiny Cartridge that like covers, Japanese games and DS games, stuff like that. So it's like, that's somewhere where we made sure to send them a copy. And sure enough, there's a story there. And that's not going to have the reach of an IGN, but it's really targeted, and also they actually wrote the piece. So you want to like look for the smaller guys who are going to be really excited to get, access to a game, who aren't necessarily getting bombarded constantly with things.
And you want to be careful about, you don't want to try and get somebody, let's say they only cover MMOs, and then you want to try and get them to cover your single player game or
right.
Yeah, because I mean there's some journalists out there that absolutely hate one type of game, and if that's the type of game you developed, hitting them up it shows them that you're a moron, and so they don't want to work with you. And maybe, do you guys like blacklist game developers? Go, oh, don't work with these guys, are idiots.
No, but I mean, certainly sometimes when you get an email and it's like somebody like asking me if I want to cover the latest apple peeling gadget for KitchenAid or whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to say a brand name. KitchenAid has never done anything wrong to me. But like, when you get something like that and it's just completely out of left field, or sometimes people do the thing where they're like, hey Chris, I saw your article yesterday on The Legend of Zelda, do you want to review this shooter? And it's like, it's like you're trying to like make it sound not like a form letter, but then you're just very clearly like just saying, you're just like sort of offhand referencing something that I wrote that has no connection whatsoever to the thing that you're pitching me, and that is where it becomes a little disingenuous, and you're trying to trick me, and then it's just sort of like, I have no time for this. Like that sort of thing is always like kind of off-putting. But that applies to nobody in this room except for if you're developing a video game and you're going to send an email about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Russ, what would you say is one of the best things about what you do professionally?
Now or back then?
Either.
Photography.
How about now?
I like doing photography. I've been doing photography for years now, and I've been enjoying that.
Well, how about specific to the game industry?
The game industry?
Yeah.
It's hard to say because there's the high points and the low points.
What are the high points for you?
Getting it done. Low points, the work.
Oh, yeah.
The whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Because you got to do, like I said, 5 years and 2 years. And that's a lot of lack of sleep, lack of what happened to the world.
Yeah.
When I went in there was daylight. When I came out, there was darkness.
That's one of the things about working on games, big games, is that it can take a really long time for
Yeah.
one project.
And like you said, nowadays, a bigger studio has guys for tweening, 3Ding, modeling, posing, background. So you don't have to do them all. Like when I was there, we had to do everything. We had to be animator, cleanup artist, designer, virtually everything. Now it's like you have guys that are designated to do stuff.
Yeah. Chris, what would you say is some of the stuff you really love about being a journalist?
I kind of selfishly, when I talk to my friends who make games and they say things like, oh yeah, I haven't played that game yet, and I haven't played that game yet, and I haven't played that game yet, or I'd really like to meet this person in the industry, I'd really like to meet that person, and it's like, oh, those are games I've played and people I've met. It's like, there's, on the one hand, I probably don't make as much money as they do. On the other hand, I feel like I have this really, really fun job where I get to like talk to everybody and kind of play what I want to and really like get a really fun, broad view of the video game industry. And it's really exciting to get to talk to developers and, learn more and stuff like that. And it's like that is what keeps me going, because, every GDC or every E3 I'm going to meet somebody who I really respect or admire, or who's done something really interesting, get to talk to them, whether on the record or off the record, just to learn a little bit more. Really, like a lot of, there's a lot of off the record conversations that happen, and it's really because game developers aren't allowed by their publishers to talk to me. Right? Like this is not like they're not authorized to speak on behalf of whatever, but they read the stuff that I do and they're like, listen, I want to tell you stuff because you can't print it, but like it means that like going on the next thing I write and the next thing I write after that, I'm gonna remember what they said, and and that's gonna inform the opinions that I have and inform the writing that I do. And that's the kind of stuff that maybe you don't explicitly see Q&A with so and so, but when you read pieces that I write that are like analysis of the game industry, it's because of all of the people that I've talked to and being able to say, well, I think this, and they're like, no, you're wrong, let me tell you why you're wrong. And it's like, oh, right, I was wrong. Okay, good. And then the next piece is better for that, although it's in the background.
Yeah. I worked briefly as a journalist, and I went to GDC as a journalist, I went to E3 as a journalist, and the way that game companies treat you, like, I go in to meet with people, there's a full buffet, they're bringing me alcohol, they're like, and I was like, I don't really like this game, but they're my friends.
Right. But actually, they hate you. Secretly, they actually don't like you very much. But they're like, let's ply him with alcohol to, try to get this guy to, write something good.
Yeah, it totally worked.
It's tough for the first few years. It really is, because like you're like, oh wow, like, I'm getting treated so well. But like after a couple of years, you have to kind of realize like this is a smokescreen, and they're doing this for a very specific reason, and you got to get beyond that.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm on that topic, what do you think about the way that readers view journalists? Because I know there's been issues in the past. I'm not going to bring it up exactly, but some people might see journalists as, well, they don't want to say bad things. I remember the Age of Conan issue was a big deal when everyone said, that's the most fantastic game ever, and then when people played it, they went, I hate this game. And so how do you see that, the credibility of journalists? Do you think it's coming and going? Do you think what state do you think that's in?
One of the things that I kind of realized a long time ago, and this was because, say a long time ago, I mean like 2006, was that when Sony established PlayStation Blog and when Nintendo started having their president interview their own game developers, then post those interviews online. And when everybody kind of got on, so Capcom started up the Capcom Unity blog, it was like, oh, the role of the sort of video game writer as far as like receiving information from the companies and then passing it on is over, because they're just going to give that information to their fans now. And I think what's incredibly important is to start writing the pieces that they're not going to do on their own, to start doing more analysis, to start being more honest in terms of video game previews and what you see. And I think unfortunately some of that comes across, I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who expect writers to be cheerleaders because they remember Electronic Gaming Monthly, they remember Die Hard Game Fan, where every single video game that ever came out was the most amazing, experience since the last one. When we're trying to actually have that kind of an, the word being the adversarial press relationship, not meaning that we're trying to screw anybody, but like we're really trying to be that voice of skepticism in a field of marketing. And some people will receive that as being like, oh, okay, well, there's some balance. And then some people really wonder, like, why aren't you cheerleading? Like, why is this not like constant rah-rah coverage? And it's a constant push and pull, I think, and it's a weird situation to be in, but it's a fun job.
Yeah, I think journalists kind of got some blowback for some of that, and then they saw YouTube gamers as, well, these guys, they don't have any motivation, and then game companies started recruiting YouTube gamers to say nice things, paying them to say nice things, and I think that the advantage that YouTube gamers had for a little while is kind of balanced, and I think that
it's all very much in flux. It's all really in flux just because of the massive flood of new media, not only from the publishers themselves, not only from people on YouTube, and not only and then the fact that sometimes can be one and the same when a YouTuber that you follow suddenly does sponsored content for which they've been paid by a publisher to do, and then you start asking the question, well, okay, well, they got paid for this video, but okay, well, this video they did ostensibly they didn't get paid for, but we know where they're getting their money from, so are they going to say anything that's going to offend the people that are potentially going to give them money later for another video? Do they want to jeopardize their relationship? And it gets very hairy. And the thing is, but it's not going away. And again, on balance, I mean, I think that YouTube is wonderful. I think it's the number of like personalities, the number of people who've been able to make careers out of doing this has been really, really exciting to see. But it's like people are going to need to work out like how do you have that separation of church and state? How do you keep the opinions separated from the money? And how do you tell what is sponsored content and what is independent editorial when it's all sort of in the same mix? And that's a lot of that is a job for the media producers, and it's a job for consumers to kind of to get themselves educated about what's going on and make those appropriate decisions. But in the end, it's really just exciting to have. I mean, again, like when I was sitting making a fanzine, like there's only so many photocopies of a fanzine you can make when you're 13. But if you put up a YouTube video and it's good and it hits, it's like you could do really well for yourself. You can get a nice audience. Yeah, that's fun. It's great.
Yes, are you gentlemen by any chance familiar with a 2D fighting game called Guilty Gear X?
In a passing sense, yes.
Just to let you guys know, the man who created Guilty Gear X, believe it or not, this isn't to blow your mind, he made the game completely by himself without anybody's help. He made the characters, the backgrounds, and the music, and it took him 5 months to complete it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the first one he made.
Yeah.
I have a question about education.
Okay.
There's a lot of those kind of sketchy places you see in advertisements
Sure.
and magazines and stuff like that
Sure.
that offer game design courses and whatnot. But there are programs at accredited universities. A couple of CSU campuses have programs. And I was just wondering, if you think that's something that is I don't know if I want to say the word worth it, but is going to put you in a much more advantageous position than someone that doesn't.
Right. I think it varies dramatically. There's people that have degrees from Full Sail that get hired There's people that have game design degrees from other colleges that maybe I shouldn't mention, that I would definitely not hire. You know, I talked smack about this one school in a different talk that I gave on this topic, and I never got any blowback for it, so maybe I could...
Do it.
So, let's just say that there is an art school in Sacramento, and I won't say who they are. They teach game design, or they teach game art. I think they also teach game design. And they invite me to come out all the time to meet with their students. And I've met some people in there that I think are talented. Some of their students I think are talented. But I'm also highly disturbed by the fact that one of their main teachers one time said to me that he didn't know anything about video games, that his degree was in film. And he said, but I'm better than nothing. And that was horrifying to me.
And that may not even be the case. I mean,
In fact,
that may be worse than just sitting
Yes.
there on your own learning nothing. Yeah.
I agree with you on that. And there's something that I would ask their graduates. I would ask them, if I give you an art asset and I want you to retopologize this asset, what am I asking you to do? Usually they couldn't answer that question, which is highly terrifying for someone who has a bachelor's degree in something they don't know how to do. And now, if you are making 3D models for film, you don't necessarily have to retop an asset because you're not rendering in real time. So it doesn't really matter what your poly count is, because it doesn't have to be efficient. Now, when you're doing a video game, you have to absolutely know how to retop things, how to bake normal maps, etc. And this college was not teaching their graduates that at all. And so these are people that were getting in debt $50,000 in student loans to get a job that they were not qualified for. And so that's terrifying. Now, I've also met programmers. Actually, probably was something I should have done in the beginning here. How many people here are interested, perhaps, in being artists in the game industry? Okay, a good number of you. How many people here are interested in being programmers in the game industry? Okay, a good number of you. That's awesome. One of the things I would point out is that if you get a bachelor's degree in computer science, you're going to be taught a lot of great fundamentals for the game industry. You're not going to be taught what a sprite sheet is. You're not going to be taught how to work with game engines. So there's a lot of holes missing from your education. Let me actually tackle something else that you guys might find interesting. I can tell you that programmers will apply for my game company. And I'll say, can you show me some of the games that you've developed? And they're like, no, but I've always wanted to make games. I don't hire that person. If you don't have a portfolio, it shows me that you're not interested enough in making games that you've been making them already. Something that I tell people that terrifies them, and I love terrifying people, is that I have met lots of people who grew up playing video games, who went to college, got a degree in something game development related, applied to a bazillion companies, had that one company that would take a chance on them. They worked in the industry for 3 months, realized they absolutely hated it and quit. Now, if you are a recruiter and you take chances on people without experience and they quit soon after, you will eventually get fired. Recruiters are not interested in finding, in giving people breaks. They're interested in not getting fired. And so that's why experience is so important, because so many people have this, and this kind of sounds mean, and I don't really mean it mean, but so many people have this delusion that working in the game industry is all about having cool ideas and having people make your ideas for you. That doesn't happen. I've met people that prided themselves on saying, well, I'm an idea guy. I'm like, do you understand that means you're a moron? That's what that means. That means you have no skills. That means you bring nothing to the table except for ideas. You look at a game studio, And I have a lot of respect for people that work on a janitorial crew, but many of those people have just as great game ideas as the people that work in the studio. Let me give you an example. Let's say I pitched a game idea.
I think we may be out of time for further examples, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we didn't have to.
2:30, I think, is the next.
2:30. So we're totally trampling on your time. I was pretty sure that it was.
Maybe in Andre's time. I'm just very forcing it.
Oh.
Well, thanks, everybody.
All right.
Goodbye.